My name is Linda Gibson, and I'm an outreach worker for ACIT. So, when somebody comes to ACIT for support, we will organise for them to have a one-on-one support session. And they could come to any of our venues across the city, whether it's in our office space or some of our community outreach projects. And usually the first thing that we would do, whether it's a member of staff from ACIT or some of the many volunteers that we have working with us, they will sit down with that person and have a conversation first, which is very much about asking the person what would they like or what would they need to do. They usually bring their own device along because they've maybe had some issues using their device, or they'd like to try something new. And we take a little bit of information from the person in terms of, do they have connectivity at home? How are they finding their device? But again, really individualising the support as much as possible to find out what the hook is for that person, what it is that they would really want to do, what's going to make a difference to them. So when we have an ACIT support session, we would have maybe 3 or 4 volunteers as part of that session. And that's really important because the volunteers are a really important resource for us. They tend to be individuals who might have a technology background, or perhaps they're just really confident in using everyday devices. So we try, when somebody comes forward for support, we try and match them up to a volunteer that would be competent and confident in supporting that individual. That might be because a volunteer is maybe Apple orientated as opposed to Android orientated, and that the person would come to them maybe with an Apple device in order to gain that support. The sessions are held in a range of community centres across the city. So for example, one of our digital sessions happens in New Haven Community Centre, where other groups are happening at the same time. So while ACIT are running a digital session, there could well be a knitting group happening in the next door room. There's free tea and coffee. There may be a dementia support group going on. There could be a cooking group going on in the kitchen as well. And that works really well because I think that reduces people's anxiety about stepping forward for digital support. So if somebody's come to the knitting group, for example, and it could be something simple like they know that they can access free knitting patterns online, and they can come to us for that initial hook. And then we can build up a relationship with that person and help advance their digital skills. We've got to know the cooking group quite well too, and people will sometimes come to us for a digital session first, and then they'll go on and do their cooking group, and sometimes the skills can be transferable from one session to the other. And I think that makes digital skills really individualised and meaningful for people.